G'day, it's Pete here, and I'm here with Justin Howard, my regular partner. Now, what we're doing is we're starting a new segment called Journey to the Bermuda Bowl, because this year we qualified for the Australian Open team, and we get to go to the Bermuda Bowl, the World Championship, which is like the pinnacle of bridge. It's the highest level that you can actually play of, and we're excited that we get to go there, but we really want to try and start playing better and improving so that we can actually represent Australia really well and make sure that we bring our best. So we started this segment because of that, but also because we cracked 300 YouTube subscribers and are really happy about this. So we want to make a monthly segment where we sort of highlight our training, what we're trying to do, and also how you could sort of emulate it as well. So today we're going to talk about who the rest of our team is, where we're going to and what the events are like, and what our training plan is and how we're being helped by our coach. So who's on our team?
Alright, we're pretty excited to be on the team this year. It's our first big chance to play in the Bermuda Bowl, which is certainly something I've been striving towards for a long time. And joining us on our team, we're pretty excited to have Andrew Peake. He is a pretty sensational player from New South Wales. Actually, our whole team is from New South Wales, minus Pete and I, but you know.
We're the only Melbourneites.
Yeah. We've also got David Beecham. We've got the rest of our team being Peter Gill on the right and Matthew Thompson on the left. We're pretty excited to have all these guys, a lot of experience on our team, and a lot of youth here.
Anyway, so they're joining us for those two events. So we're off to the Bermuda Bowl, which is in Lyon in France, and that starts on August 12th. But before that, we've got the Pacific Asia Championship, which is all the Asian countries plus New Zealand and Australia. And that one's over in Korea, Seoul, and that starts on the 28th of May. So they're our two target events that we're trying to do. And yeah, so we'll give it a shot. Like, we want to improve, we want to get there, and like qualifying for Australian team, huge success, but that's not our main goal. Our main goal is getting to these events and doing really well and trying to improve as we go.
So certainly we've been trying to work out what can we do to make ourselves better, what can we do to help ourselves be the best we can be during these events. And very kindly we've had a great offer from a very generous person, Ben Thompson, another Melbourneite, who's certainly interested in seeing us all do very well. You can see by that smile, he's you know, pumped to be here. It's, no, we're looking forward to having Ben, and what Ben's kindly doing for us is going through, and he's done all the analysis over the last 3 years that Pete and I have been playing in national events and international events, and he's done some basic statistics for us, and here they are.
Yeah, so what he's done is he's compared our scores at national events, so high-level events, and seeing what we've done. He's broken it up into lots of categories. We've just shown some of here, which are missed slam contracts, missed best contracts, missed the best sacrifice, what our declaring's like, what our defense is like. So different categories like that. And gone through and compared it to double dummy. How many times did we miss it compared to double dummy? Now, this is where most people stop and make a mistake, is that's where it ends. And this is actually a really bad strategy because over the past 3 years, our strike rate of like being able to bid to the par contract. You know, you see that double dummy sheet, you think bidding to 4 hearts. Oh no, how did I miss that? Our strike rate was 25%. It's like, if you use that as your method for improving, if you want to, like, it's a tough, yeah, double dummy is like a tough marker in that sense. So
25% across 3 years, and we're on the top team in Australia.
Yeah.
So anytime you look at that and say, oh, how did we miss it? Probably not the way you should be going about things.
Yeah, so instead what Ben's done is compared us to double dummy, but also found our opponents, because we were usually playing teams matches at national events or international events, and comparing them to double dummy as well. And then giving us a comparison between us and them and seeing in these different areas how do we actually do. So looking at the slam contracts, how many times did we miss double dummy slams? 67% of the time we missed them. Whereas our opponents missed them 86%. So what this tells us is we're 18% better than our opponents in slam bidding. So in our training regime, this probably isn't an area we need to focus on too much because we're already pretty good at it. But if you look at some of the areas where we're not as good, such as we missed the best contract, where we're 5% worse than our opponents, or missed best sacrifices, where we're 25% worse, that's a much bigger area. So we're trying to focus on, diagnose our weaknesses, and then work out where we can improve on them.
So from all these stats, you can certainly see that when you're playing, you're never going to be perfect. In fact, you look at all these stats, we miss 67% of available slams. We play in the wrong contract 40% of the time. We fail to sacrifice on 57% of the hands that we could sacrifice on. And going on from that, you look at the areas we're good at. Yeah. You miss 67% of available slams, and you're still 18% better than your opponents. When you're trying to play, your aim is not to go through and bid to these double dummy slams. Basically, any slam that is worse than 50%, you do not want to be in. And that's kind of what these stats are saying is, yes, you could bid X number of slams. I believe there was 31 across the 584 deals of slams that we could have bid, but we only bid 10 of them. Now, this is still quite a good ratio, considering that lots of these slams will be, you need to drop a singleton king, you need this suit to divide, you need 5 finesses. I've played in a few of those. But the big areas we're trying to look at is what we're poor at, and the areas that we've noticed most are missed the best sacrifices. And this is sort of a very hard thing to judge, because again, are your opponents actually going to make the contract that they're in? Are you supposed to sacrifice? And if you play it, are you going to make the number of tricks you should? So here's just a couple of hands we picked out to show you how inaccurate this sort of thing is, but it's an area that we're trying to learn.
Yeah, so for this first hand, what we have here is a time where we did miss a really good sacrifice. So this hand came from 2014, where we were actually playing against one of our teammates, David Beecham, who went on to win it. Yeah. But the opponents bid to 3 no trumps, and that made vulnerable, and we could have bid to 4 hearts, got doubled, and only go down 1 for minus 100. So we had a really good sacrifice here that we missed. And we've also got Ben's analysis. He's gone through and looked at all our slam hands, not slam hands, our sacrifice hands, and he's tried to give his perspective as well, but we're also going to go through it as well. But he said this one looks plausible, and it's possible that we might get into it. Like, as we saw, we got to 3 hearts on this hand, but we didn't choose to go on to 4 hearts. And some of his questions here are like, are there different raises that we could make, or what could enable us? So we've gone through and looked at some hands like this to try and work out what we could have done. But this is sort of like a two-edged sword looking at these sacrifices, and we don't want to just look at the raw data and go, we're terrible at sacrificing, because there are some times where there are other hands.
Such as this one. If you look at the previous hand, I was very wimpy and didn't jump to 4, whereas this hand, you look at it. Yes, we could have bid to 4 spades on the east-west cards, which if you get doubled would be going for 500 against the opponent's 620 they made in 4 hearts. However, if you look at 4 hearts as a contract, it is actually a really bad contract. You've got 2 club losers to start off with, and you're missing the king of diamonds and the king of hearts, but look at all those 10s, 9s and 8s that you're missing in the red suits as well. This contract of 4 hearts is probably going to fail more than half the time. So do we want to be sacrificing for minus 500 against their 620? It's a very limited advantage to be sacrificing on these types of hands. So yes, the first one was a good sacrifice, where I was particularly wimpy. But this second one is a hand where, as you look at Ben's comments, West would have to enter the auction. Is this feasible or is this mad? And this is what we're going through. We're looking at all these different hands and we're trying to work out, are we doing good things? Are we doing bad things? How can we improve? It's not just looking at the raw stats and saying, we don't sacrifice enough, because if you're always sacrificing, you're going to make plenty of bad sacrifices. And bad sacrifice costs a lot more than missing the good ones do. But you want to be able to get every single imp you can to beat these guys in Europe and America. Boy, they're good.
Anyway, so how this was actually done is by a program called Double Dummy Solver, and you can download that for free from bridgecaptain.com. But you don't also need to use this program. There's other ways that you could do this. Like if you were at a club and you know who a good pair or a good player at your club is, and you want to compare what you're doing to just them rather than just the whole field. So what you could do is look at your results, their results, and try and look at what they did differently and try and categorize it a bit. And you might be able to identify some of your strengths and weaknesses and what areas you actually need to focus on to actually improve, rather than just going, they came first and we came third this time. Or looking at like your results and comparing them to double dummy. That's not where you want to end. You want to compare it to another player and work out what differences, what percentages they have, and where you can improve in your different areas. Anyway, so this is our journey to the Bermuda Bowl, what we've been doing this month, and yeah, we'll try and make more of these. Well, once a month we'll try and do a recap or show what we've actually been doing. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and sort of a bit of insight into what we're doing and what you can try and do. And
we're looking forward to you joining us on our bowl experience, and thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.